there's so much that we want to do with our lives, and it's hard enough sometimes to find the motivation, but it's particularly difficult when you want to be working, you want to be moving forward, and life just is getting in the way. Hey, everybody. Okay, we are going to just spend some fun time at my desk working on putting together the planner. And mostly this is just going to be about decorating. I'll probably do some voiceover, but man, I have really been struggling with pain and I am having to pace myself. I had a pretty busy day. And so tonight I am just going to play around with this, kind of start thinking through some of the things that are going to happen in book two. And I still haven't put the book on pre-order for book one, so I'm kind of thinking if I might be in this pain for weeks, I might have to delay when the book is coming out, and that's fine. That's part of why I didn't put it on pre-order. But anyway, we will discuss that later. I know that so many of you who watch this channel also have chronic illnesses or, people that you're caring for. And sometimes it gets so difficult because there's so much that we want to do with our lives. And it's hard enough sometimes to find the motivation, but it's particularly difficult when you want to be working, you want to be moving forward, and life just is getting in the way. And I'm just here to encourage you to say, there's always little spaces where you can get stuff done. Like I may be going through pain, but I still finish the book. I might be going through pain and can't show up every day, but I'm still getting vlogs out, and just giving yourself permission to let that be enough or to just surrender to the season of life that you're in. So let's have some fun. We're going to play around with this. So I previously was keeping my journaling stuff in this beautiful Aura Estelle and had the B6 Stalogy notebook with this cover, which I don't think this is a Salty Katie Co cover because it doesn't say salty on the back. So this must have come from someone else. I'll have to look and see who. But I'm going to keep the same notebook. I have decided, like I was talking about yesterday, to keep the same notebook. And what I have done is, or what I'm going to do is actually just look through all of my things, kind of pull this apart, and I'm going to move to this pink one. So this pink is also Aura Estelle. It does have a little bit of like pin marks on it. So I was using these unscented baby wipes to try to get it out, but that's not working. So I might try hairspray next. But it did work a little bit more on here, but we'll get that off in a minute. So this one was previously set up as my planner for my nighttime journaling. And I'm going to deconstruct it. We're just going to take everything out, and then we're going to move this one over to here because I want to put blue. So this is my book cover. I have printed it out on vellum, and I use a pretty thick vellum from Amazon, so I will link that down below. It's just for inkjet printers, and you do have to let it dry for just a minute, but I made this on Canva. So this, not the book cover is from Raven, professionally done book cover, but I just picked a background and printed it out from Canva. And then I also made a little mood board here. You can see this little bit of ink here. I slapped it on my leg accidentally, but this has kind of like inspiration for my main character and the love interest. And some of her teammates are on here as well, and some of the scenes of inspiration for what we're going through in book two. So I'm going to do that. I also went through, and this is kind of every time I set up any new planner, this is sort of where I start, is I think about the color scheme and what I'm doing. And that usually is based on the cover itself. So when I started thinking about the blues here, it's not that the purple doesn't go with blue, but also sometimes it just helps me mentally to have something fresh and new. So I was thinking about blue. So I pulled this blue glitter, which is from the same set as the pink glitter underneath. And then I also found this, which, listen, I understand that like fantasy vibes and clouds aren't necessarily the same thing. May not be the exact vibe, but this just brought me so much joy to think about this. Unfortunately, the paper is this way, so it's only going to wrap around this planner so much, so I'll have to kind of do some surgery on it. But I decided when I picked the blue and I started pulling out my covers. So I have this cover, and then I have two Moterm covers, and I have a Gilio cover. So I kind of looked at the blue and thought, which one do I think will match best? And what I decided to do, like I said, is to pull my nightly journal out of this pink one, and we're going to reset it. So then when I decided on the pink, I kind of looked at the blue, the pink together, which is giving very happy, cheery vibes, even though this is like death games to the death. Let's hang out in the clouds. And then I just went through and looked for any stickers that I have. Like when I buy these stickers, I very rarely ever stick them down. I'm almost always just putting them on with paper clips or other things so that I can reuse them. And I actually, I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, I found some stickers that say like slow burn enemies to lovers, which is what this story is. And I can't find them. So this is just like the bane of my existence. Sometimes is trying to find these things. So I just have all these other stickers. We're going to pull that out. And what I typically will do is just go through my drawers, my other planners, my little paper clips and other things like that. And I'll try to pull things out that harken back to that color. So since we're going with the pink and the blue kind of theme, I figure it's perfect timing to pull out some of my other blue things. So I might pull in the purple with this ollie clip, but I also have this pink sparkly one. So one of those or this other small pink one. I found this blue paper clip that might be helpful. And then I was pulling up other things, just like, so I had this in my Louis Vuitton, but I think this would be really cute to put in here. Obviously from K-Pop Demon Hunters, I got this off of Etsy, but that blue will look so cute with the clouds. So I'm definitely going to pull that in. I also was pulling in things like Hello Kitty stickers that came from the Pipsticks sticker kit. I've got some Coffee Monsters Co. that has blue on the side. This is an Erin Condren card that has blue that I might be able to peep in somewhere. I also found a navy blue paper clip that I might use. And I have a couple of different page flags from Planner Society from years and years ago. So I always like collect the things and then we kind of put it together and see where it will go. So I'm going to switch you over to VoiceOver. And I also have my cutting board from Fiskars as well as some tape so that I can do some tip ins. And all I'm going to do tonight is really just, let's take all these things out. And I'm just going to go to the next page over and we're going to take this out and reset the pockets as well as the planner itself. So actually I might need to leave some room for edit stuff. So I might just go a little ways into the planner so I can do some notes on the editing that I'm going to do. And we'll start here and we'll see kind of how it goes. So we start by taking everything apart. And, you know, sometimes if you are just not feeling the inspiration for a notebook or something that you've set up in the past, one of the best things you can do is just give it a fresh look. It's like you don't have to give up on the notebook. You don't have to buy anything new. Just look around your stash, see if there's something you can print, see if there's something you can make, or pull out something you haven't used in a while. And sometimes that just gives it that fresh bit of excitement if you're somebody who responds to decorations like I do. So I just cut this down, and like I said, the cloud paper isn't long enough to go all the way through, but I don't really see the back of this planner very often. What I do see often though is that the planner will shift inside the cover, and sometimes it'll show the top or bottom of the black, and you'll see later it actually shows the side too. So I'm gonna probably pull it back out now and put some of that blue paper or washi tape along the right edge so that it can't see any of the black, and that'll probably solve that problem because it does shift inside that cover. So then one, I'm going to this Pretty Aura Estelle, and I'm putting some of the same things that I had in there before back in, because I just really liked that heart backing paper and the Coffee Monsters Co. and the page flags, but I'm also using some of that cloud paper again. I have this sticker from Seven Brew that is my favorite coffee place, so I put that there, and it matches so nicely with that blue bow. And one of the things I love, and this is why I'm so excited for getting back into the A5 binders for 2026, is being able to pull back out collections of things like that blue bow I probably got 5 or 6 years ago, and it's just nice to pull that back out and be able to use it again. So I'm just sort of playing around. I never go in with a plan. I just pull out all the things that have the color scheme I'm looking for. And so there you could see I have that enemies to lovers candy sticker, and I just put some washi tape on the back and secured it that way so I don't have to use the sticker and I can reuse it as many times as I want. Also, this little pink bow fell off the little boba tea, so I'm just putting it on with some little tacky glue, and hopefully that will stick because it's so cute. I've had that forever as well. I will link as many shops as I can remember down below, but some of these I got so long ago I'll have to go looking. Also, I cut this vellum paper, which is, because it's so heavily inked, is curling. And I actually created it in Canva to the exact dimensions of the planner, and when it printed, it's too small. But I didn't want to waste paper and print it again, so it's a little bit smaller than the paper. I like to put tip-ins in the way that Dakshana does. I will link her channel down below where she gives a little tutorial of it, but I just take tape and I will put a little bit at the top, like an anchor, and a little bit at the bottom, and then flip it over and put a little in the center of the back. And that seems to hold the tip-ins pretty well. You can use washi tape. I like to use packing tape because it's more secure. And so I just counted out pages to use for my edits. So I'm just writing Mirror of Shadows editing notes, and I will share this with you all tomorrow, where I'm going to go through and make notes about all the edits that need to happen and a checklist and everything else for sort of my to-do of getting that draft. It's not a rough draft. I read it online. It's good enough to publish almost, but there's just some things I want to add to it. So kind of like a final editing pass, I guess. Now I've gone back into A Throne of Thorns, which is book 2, and given it this little bow tab at the top from Planner Society, and I am creating something a little bit new. So inside the Heart Breathings resource library, there is a editing or production timeline printable. I think it might be in the trackers folder, but I'm not sure. And I tried to recreate that in the beginning of this notebook, and I didn't use it because I just don't stick with tracking something every day in that way in my writing, because there's just weeks I don't do much writing and then I forget about it. So I'm going to try this instead, where I am creating a little bit of an overview of the timeline, and I've mapped out what I think the stages are for the second book, and I want to track how long each stage took me. So I've got kind of like brainstorming, outlining, and then drafting act 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then editing acts 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm just going to write the day that I started it and the day that I completed it. And then at the bottom, I've got a few notes like when I hope to begin the book, when I hope to read them on YouTube, and then any other little things like how long it total took me to write the book, because I really have some big goals for 2026 in terms of finishing all of this series and finishing the final book of my Shadow Demon saga. That's my big goal, and it's going to take major concentration. It's going to take intentionality. It's going to take support and help, and it's just going to take a lot of work, but I'm determined to do it because I really want this to be the year that I finish that series. I started the Shadow Demon saga in 2010, and it's just time. It's time to wrap it up. So on these sections, I'm taking these notes that Adrian from Procrastiplanner made that fit perfectly into Happy Planner. If you guys have seen my videos on how I plot in a Happy Planner, these fit in those Happy Planner headers. And it says scene. I'm not actually writing scenes, I'm writing episodes, and each episode might have multiple scenes, but that's what I'm going to use to mark it since I have those awesome stickers from her. I will link her shop below too. And then on this section, I'm creating just a character log that will basically be me going through and writing down what I know so far of the characters and each of their abilities and their backstory. I'm just going to make bullet points about it just because it'll be a good reference page to any new characters I create, or making sure I'm staying true to the continuity of the first book in the series. And then here on this page, I'm just taking my two main POV characters, which are the two romance characters, Bex and Slate, and I'm going to use basically the same thing that I tend to use in my How to Plot Your Novel series, but I'm just redrawing it. So that triangle is from James Scott Bell's Write Your Story from the Middle. That is taking your character arc and thinking, where are they at the beginning of the book, where are they at the end, and then what's their mirror or midpoint moment of the character arc. And then the grid at the bottom is from Deborah Dixon's Goal, Motivation, Conflict book, where you really look at your character's goal, their motivation for why they want that goal, and then what's standing in their way. And you look at it in two ways, from the internal perspective and from the external perspective. And if you want to check out what that really means in depth, I will link both of their books down below, because I think both of those books are really key to understanding your character arcs. And then I just created a space for brainstorming, and that is basically the main parts of the notebook. And I gave it a lot more structure when I started book one, but I feel like I didn't use a lot of those pages the way that I intended. So I'm setting it up pretty minimally this time, but look how cute it is. It just makes me so happy with the clouds. I love it. So this particular notebook has this little peekaboo slot in the front, this pocket. So I just put some pretty papers in there, and basically the notebook is set. I am so excited for working on book two of this series and getting book one out. So let's see if I can still hit that 50K. I need 13.6 words. Wherever you are in your process, let's do it together. We still have got a few days. Let's do this. That's it. My new Throne of Thorns notebook is set up. That is basically all I'm going to do today. I had a meeting. We had a bunch of other admin kind of tasks. I worked on the HB90 planner for a while, and we got our tree set up. We did not quite get it decorated, but we started with the lights. But I have had to take frequent breaks, and it is now 7:30. So I feel like I'm just going to go read and relax, so that hopefully tomorrow can be a really productive day, because I really, really want to have a chance to edit this book, write more words. I am so excited to set up my pocket planner, and so I got to earn it. And in order to do that, I have to finish 50,000 words. So no specific words today, but I am going to take my journal. I'm going to read for a bit, but I will take this journal and fill out what I know about each of the characters, and any little items that I can fill out in terms of the brainstorming. And then tomorrow you'll see the plotting planner, like the plotting wall that I have set up, and then we will start writing tomorrow. So hopefully we can keep up with that, like 2,700 words a day. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but we're going to try. And I think really the key to making that happen for me right now, when I am not used to moving on to another book so quickly, is just to figure out tonight, when I'm sitting down with the kids or whatever, I'm about to put Evie in the bath, is to just think, okay, where do we leave off in the previous thing? So for example, I know one thing is getting my main character into her new room. And so that is something I can go ahead and write, and that should be kind of fun. I won't know necessarily if that's going to be at the very beginning of this episode, if it will even fit into the episode, but it does give me a chance to keep working on the words, because I can write out of order. If you haven't watched my video on how to determine what your writing process is and what kind of writer you are, you might find that really fun. Actually, my friend Cassie is working on a quiz for you guys that you can take the quiz and it'll tell you what type of writer you are. So fun. I'm so excited for that. So thank you for Cassie for working on that in her spare time. And go watch that video. I'll link it for you down below. I am a puzzler. In part, I'm a plotter, I'm a puzzler. And part of being a puzzler is writing out of order and kind of figuring it out as I go. And so that will serve me well in this process, because if I can just pick one snippet of a scene that's going to take me 1,000 words or something like that, and then also brainstorm what I'm going to write tomorrow, I'm going to count all those words. And that's kind of my game plan for finishing this. But I'm just saying, like, heavy prayers for myself that I can get some good rest tonight. Last night I was up until 4 in the morning with this pain, and so I only slept a couple of hours. So it is definitely a night to call it off, like do something fun instead of really taxing myself. And I will see you tomorrow. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I will have gotten tons of good rest. And we will start with tomorrow. I'll show you what my editing plan is based on the spreadsheet that we used in the Finish Your Novel challenge earlier this year. So I'll share all that with you tomorrow and hopefully get some edits done. I hope you're feeling better. I hope you're taking rest if you need it. And I hope that you are looking forward to all the planner content and editing content coming up. All right. I love you guys. Bye.